Hello and welcome to another Massillon Regional Library Super Science video. My name is Miss Stephanie, one of the children's librarians here, and today we're going to do experiment with color and density. And color is something that we see a lot around us, but we don't think too much about it. But there is a little bit of science behind it, and especially what we're going to do in this experiment is show how you can use two colors to make a different color. And also we're going to talk about density. And density is something about how heavy or light something is. And basically it's like how tight, there's little particles in everything. And density is like how tightly packed they are together. And we're going to show how different some of these things that you can find around your house are more dense than others or heavier than others. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a liquid rainbow. And I got this experiment from this book, which you can check out from the library. All you need to do is go to our catalog, which will have a link at the end of this video. And since there's kind of a lot of stuff for this experiment, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you a little slide of everything you're going to need, so it's a little easier than me just picking up things and showing you. So for this liquid rainbow experiment, you're going to need the following items. Alright, so we've got all our ingredients together that I just have listed up there. And what we're going to do is I've already measured out these ingredients just to make the video go a little smoother and faster. You didn't have to watch me measure everything. But I did want to talk about the first ingredient that we're going to put in our liquid rainbow is the corn syrup. Right here. And then what we're going to do to make the bottom is, this is the heaviest or the most dense liquid that we have, and we're going to dye it purple. So we are going to take two primary colors, red and blue, and mix them together to make a secondary color, purple. So I'm going to just put a couple drops of the red in here, and then put a couple drops of the blue. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a plastic spoon or a knife, and I'm just going to mix them together, hold it, and be sure to do this on a hard surface or a plate, because this experiment gets kind of messy, which makes it more fun, but I'm pretty sure your adult wouldn't like if you got corn syrup everywhere, right? So this is a nice dark purple, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this aside, and always have lots of napkins and paper towels around to put your dirty forks and spoons on so it doesn't make quite as much of a mess. So I'm going to bring our jar out over here to the center, and then we're going to pour this now purple corn syrup on the bottom of our jar. So that will be our first layer of the rainbow. Make sure it gets all in there. And you're going to do, for the measurements, I'll show you what I used in a second, but once I get all this in here. Alright, looks like we got like a nice solid bottom of the purple corn syrup. And what I did to measure is I used 1/4 of a cup. And if you don't have like 5 different size of this cup, you can just rinse it out and dry it really well, because you don't want the liquids to mix in this experiment. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put blue dish soap in, and so I've already measured out 1/4 cup of the blue, and it says blue on there too, which is kind of, I didn't intend that, but that's funny. And we're going to gently pour the blue dish soap on top of our purple, and it's going to be a little hard to see, so what I'm going to do is I'll do this now so you can see the layers better, but at the end when we finish our rainbow, I'll use the flashlight again so we can see. But as you can see, we have the purple and the blue, and what I'm going to do is I have a flashlight on my phone, and we're going to hit the light. And as you get closer, you can see the layers of the blue and the purple, which is really neat. So we'll put this aside and we'll use it again for when we finish up. So we got 2 layers. And now you're wondering, why is the dish soap floating on the corn syrup? Well, the dish soap is less dense or less heavy than the corn syrup, so it's going to float on top. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is I took 1/4 cup of water and I used some green food coloring to make green, obviously. But you can also mix together to make green, blue, and yellow food coloring, which is another example of using 2 primary colors to make a secondary one. And so what we're going to do is, and the key to this is to gently pour. Don't just dump it in, but we just want to gently pour it. And then we'll add it on top. So that's great. And we can see that the water is less dense than the corn syrup, and it's a little hard to tell from the video, but once we're done, I'll get my flashlight back out and we can see. And so that is our next layer. Now our next layer is something we don't have to dye because it's already yellow. And this is our vegetable oil. And this is yellow. So we're going to go ahead and just gently dip this on top. Just gently pour it. And as you can see, the layers are forming. And it will take a little while for this one to settle, but once it does, you will see the yellow and the green. And while it's doing that, our last layer is going to be red. And for this, I do want to say that this one takes a little longer than the other layers. This is the alcohol. And you want it to be 70% or higher, else it's not going to get a nice top layer on our rainbow. So what I did is I already measured out 1/4 cup of red alcohol. And what I did is I put a few drops of the red food coloring on it. And I didn't mix anything because it's a primary color. Now for this one, and you can see the yellow is starting to settle down. So we can see a little bit of yellow on the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an eyedropper and I'm going to gently, very carefully put the red dyed alcohol on the top. Because if we dump it in, it's not going to float as nice and we won't be able to see it. It'll just be mixed up. So we'll just keep doing that. This takes a little bit of patience, but sometimes we have to wait in order to see something really cool. And you can see by the video, like, it's starting to form. It's just going to take a little while. So and you can also, like, any type of eyedropper will work. Or, like, you can maybe use a straw if you don't have an eyedropper around your place. So we're going to keep going. And as you can see, the red is doing a nice job of floating on top. Alright. Keep going. I'll just put a few more drops on just so you can, it's not going to be quite as much as the other layers, but it'll just be enough that you can tell. Alright. Alright, just put a little bit more. And just keep going. I just wanted to make enough so we could see. And it's doing a great job of floating because alcohol is the least dense of our liquids, which means it's the lightest. So it floats on top of all of these. And just one more. Actually, I'll just do one more after this. Okay. So we'll set this aside. And what I'll do is I'll get my flashlight back out and so we can see the colors. Alright, so we'll get it back on. We can see the glow, but wouldn't it be cooler if we could cut off the lights and see this in the dark? So hold on 1 second. So let's do that real quick. Okay, so we're back and I cut the lights off and now I have my camera with me again. Let me just get at a good angle and we can better see the layers. I'll put it up higher so it's a little out of the way. All right, and so at the bottom we have our purple corn syrup, our blue dish soap, our green water, our yellow corn syrup, and our red dyed alcohol. So we have our liquid rainbow, and it looks really cool. And you can make a larger one if you have a larger jar by just doubling the ingredients to 1/2 cup. So that is how you make a liquid rainbow. Alright, I hope you had just as much fun as I did with that experiment, and just remember when you make your rainbow to be sure to do it on a paper plate or somewhere where it's a little less likely to be messy. So it's really cool to see how we can just use a couple things like vegetable oil and dish soap and combine them together to make something really cool like a liquid rainbow. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're interested in the book that I talked about in this video, the link will be at the end. And I hope to see you next month for another fun science experiment. Have a good day. Bye.